Welcome to our live YouTube live streaming session tonight. Sorry, I'm all words here. Chris has got me all aflutter. We're doing a double demonstration tonight due to last week's muck-up, so hopefully it will all work for us. So we've got double cloud cover and garter weave to get through tonight. So hopefully we'll do that before the camera battery dies or it stops working or whatever it's going to do. Hey Natalie, how are you? All right, I can see you all guys have all been in here for a while chatting away. Hey Lisa, glad to see you've made it again. Hopefully it won't be a bummer again for you. Kim and Bonnie, how are you? And Di, hey Dawn, and Rosalind. What was your big day today, honey, that you just about slept through the demonstration? I missed that. I don't know whether you mentioned it. Hey Wes, good to see you. Susie and Thea, hurtling down the road 100 kilometers an hour, I see. Okay. And the Shirleys are here, both the Shirls. Linda, Dana, hey Dana. Hello Kylie. Wow, got quite a few people on. Hey Jenny. All right, fantastic. All right, so God to be here. I'll jump straight into this, guys, because we do have the two to do tonight. And hopefully we'll be able to get through it without the battery dying on us. That's my hope. I've been using this camera all week, so hopefully hopefully it will work. Hey Casey. No worries, sweetheart. All right, I'll swap this over to the other camera and we'll make a start on the double cloud cover first. We'll get that one out of the way. Okay. Hey Karina, we just started, so that's good timing. Okay, so double cloud cover was the first kit for this month. So I've got a few sample pieces here made up. So this is aimed at an experienced beginner mailer. Now the sizes I've got made up for you are mostly in BA. It doesn't lend itself to the AA sizes that we've got. I did try some AA pieces, and although it looks okay, it doesn't look great. So anyway, this one is 14 gauge AWG, 1.6 millimeters. Now the ring size I used here was 7 mils, and this makes a really, really tight weave. If you wanted to go a little bit looser, 7.25 would be ideal. Unfortunately, we don't carry a 7.25, so perhaps a 9/32 would work, or a 7.5 works as well, but the 7 is a nice tight weave. 16 gauge, that was the only one that I was able to do it in the two colours. So there's 16 gauge 1.2 mil, and the ring sizes are 7/32. So that's the one that went out in the kit that all our Maille Club members received. This one here is 18 gauge, 4.5 mils, 18 gauge being 1.0. It's a lovely, delicate little bracelet, really lovely. Hope you can see. I'm not sure you can see the weave there. The light's shining on it is making it all bright. Okay, and finally 20 gauge, 3.5 mils was the size I went with. 20 gauge. Again, the lights might be making that a little difficult to see. And of course, the people that have the Maille Club subscription got a little pair of earrings to make up, matching their bracelet. I'll only be demonstrating the bracelet tonight. The earrings are in the tutorials. Okay, so we'll make a move. Now, I'm going to be using bright aluminium for the main weave. Now, because we've got the two weaves tonight, I did start this a little bit earlier in advance so we could get through this. I didn't tell anybody to prep any rings, but I was going to do this on stream, but with the two weaves, I decided not to do that. So I'm actually going to do this in 7.5 tonight. It's just a little bit easier to demonstrate than the 7. The 7 makes it a really tight weave. Okay, so to start with, you just want to make a simple chain of 2, 2, 2 out of your colour 1 rings, and you need it to be about the finished length of your bracelet plus about another 8 centimeters to compensate for the folding that we're going to be doing. Once you've got that chain made up, just pop a twist tie in the end so you know where your beginning is. It gives you a nice little handle to hold on to. Okay, all right, we'll make a start with this then. So to begin with, we just need to, we're going to be dealing with the first 4 pairs of rings. So we've got 1, 2, 3, and 4. And these are the first ones that we're going to be dealing with. So we grab hold of pair number 1 and we flip pair number 2 upwards, and we bring number 3 down under behind number 1. So just by bringing number 3 in behind number 1 will force rings number 2 to go up. They're the only 2 that we really want to deal with at the moment. So up there, and then we bring number 4 so it sits up there in front of number 2. So we've got 2 and 4 sitting in the front. So I'll just do that again. Holding on to number 1, flip up number 2 and tuck number 3 in behind number 1, and then just flip up number 4. So rings 2 and 4 are the ones we're going to deal with now. Okay, and taking up, got my pliers swapped around, that'll just feel weird to me. Taking up an opened ring, we want to feed that through both of those that we've popped up the top there. So rings number 2 and 4, going through, going around the eye, back out that way. For those that are interested, it's jewellery brass that I'm using for the second lot of rings. So it's just so you guys can see the colours. Okay, so your work looks like that. And because we're doubling this, we need to put another ring through the same path. So down through the front of ring number 4, bringing it around and up through rings number 2. Don't Mobius it like I just nearly did. Okay, and close that ring. Jewellery brass is a little tougher to work with than bright aluminium. Okay, so we've got that ring in place. And then what you can do is you can flip your work around so that rings number 1 and 3 are now at the top. And we do exactly the same as we did before. Take your open ring, feed it down through the front of ring number 1, bring it around and up through ring number 3. Tighten this up, tighten it up, close it up. Okay, so it looks like that. And pop in a second. Down through 1, or you can just put it through the front like that. I find sometimes with the tighter weaves, if you just put it through the front and close it up at the back, it's a little bit simpler than trying to weave it through. And that's one complete unit of double cloud cover. So you can make just a whole stack of these units and then join them individually, or I've chosen with this one to just make it a continual chain. So making it with a chain, you just go back to the first side that you were on. Okay, and this ring here becomes ring number 1. So the next one in the chain, ring number 2, ring number 3, ring number 4, and you do the same again. You bring ring number 2 up, tuck 3 in behind 1 and bring 4 up so it sits on top of 2. And we hold them together with another ring. Now when I'm making the chain, I prefer to go all the way down one side and then come around the other and do the other side. But that's up to you. Okay, so put your second locking ring in place. So it looks like that. And then go to the other side and put your locking rings in place through rings 1 and 3. Okay, and again, so that we've got 2 rings because it's a kinged cloud cover. And that's pretty much it. Nice and simple. Karina, 20 gauge, the definition of micro maille I think is subjective. 20 gauge to people who work in armour sized rings would be micro maille. 20 gauge to me is small, but not necessarily micro maille. Some people define micro maille as when you use, you know, a wire as the mandrel, so it becomes really, really small. So, you know, I mean, I don't tend to use the words micro maille or macro maille, whichever way you want to go, because it is such a subjective description. So you want to call it micro maille, go for it. Don't have a problem. All right, so I'll just do that once more. Because I've got it made up, so I might as well. So rings number 1, 2, 3, and 4. We fold rings number 2 up, tuck 3 in behind 1, and flip 4 up so it sits on top of 2. And then we lock that in place with 2 more rings, going through rings 4 and 2. Doubling it up. And then flipping it over to the other side and locking rings 1 and 3 together. Okay, and finally the second ring. Oh, nearly punched you all in the face. Sorry about that. It's a jewelry brass. Okay, so there we go, my lovelies. Double cloud cover in 14 gauge. Now, as I said, these are 7.5mm rings. Show you the difference. These are 7. You can see there's a bit more movement in the actual unit. This unit is really quite tight. I chose not to demonstrate it tonight because it is so tight, and 14 gauge is harder to work with, so I didn't want to constantly punch the camera, basically. but I don't mind the 7.5, but anything bigger than 7.5 in the 14 gauge is not going to work. It just becomes too loose and too sloppy. I did try it in the 5/16, which is 7.94, but yeah, no good. Okay, so is everybody happy with that? Should be laughing at Wes being an angel. Which wears nicer out of which ones? Are you talking about gauges in general or just the ring sizes for the 14 gauge, Leanne? Sorry, Wes, doesn't look like anybody's believing you, mate. All right. Okay, so, all right, so I'm sorry that one took such a long time coming. I really don't know what happened with the camera last week. We're thinking it's just it didn't charge properly, even though we thought it was charging. And that's why it just died on us. I've been using it all week to shoot some pre-recorded tutorial, and it's been working fine, so it must have been just it wasn't charged. Look, honestly, Leanne, I don't wear 14 gauge, so, and I don't wear BA, to be honest, so I haven't actually worn any of these bracelets. I think 7.5 is perfectly acceptable. I would not go any further past 7.5. I like my weaves tighter, a denser look. So I would choose the 7.25 if I had it available. So I didn't have any 9/32 and 14 gauge cut, so I couldn't try that. But I wouldn't go any bigger than 7.5. All right, so just to run through those sizes again, if anybody missed them, 14 gauge 7mm ID, 16 gauge 7/32 or 5.56 mils, 18 gauge 4.5, and 20 gauge 3.5. All right, a fantastic, Kerry. Glad you worked it out. All right, so if everybody's pleased and happy with that, we can move on to Garter Weave. Cool. Have I missed anything in the chat, Chris, while I was busily mailing?
No, not really. The camera's pointed a little bit down, but I don't think there's anything you can do about
Well,
it.
if I make the camera point up, then they're going to see the monitors. So
no, that's what I'm saying. I don't think you can do anything about it at the moment.
it's not. Yeah. It's not ideal situation. Is there a reason why it's pointed down? What's the problem? Am I taking it out of?
Yeah, out of shot, just a bit.
Okay. Well, unfortunately, there we go. I'll put that. But then the thing is, when I bring it up, it blocks my view of my hands, and I bring them out of shot anyway, so I can see what I'm doing. So it's the best of a worst case scenario, but I will do my best. Okay, fantastic. All right, so we had a request for Garter Weave. This is a kit that we've had for quite some time in our Aussie Maille cache. And we had a request to do this the other day. It's a very similar weave to what you've just done, basically, which is why I thought we'd be able to do them both in the same session without an issue. So this is the original bracelet that I first did in Garter Weave. This is the one, for those of us that have ever seen us at shows and things, this is the one that we use as the display on the shows. So we've had this one for quite some time, and it's still looking pretty spiffy. So this one's the 14 gauge version, the 1.6 mil. Now I've lost my stabby thing. There it is. Okay. So the outside, yeah, you better watch it. The outside large rings are BA 7/16 or 11.11 millimeters. That's a fun conversion. I like that one. 7/16. The BA inside is also 14 gauge, and that's 5/16 or 7.94 millimeters. And the rings that I used on the outside are 16 gauge, which is 1.2 mils, in the 3/16, which is 4.76 millimeters. I originally chose all of those sizes, especially the two inside, the two smaller ones, so that if you wanted to swap the AA around, you could do that fairly easily if you wanted to make the outside rings color as well. That produces, I mean, it's a fairly flexible bracelet. It folds well on itself. It does have a very decided twist to it. I think you can see that if I hold it up. The other versions that I just did recently don't have such a pronounced twist to them. So these are new sizes. I haven't had these before. So this is the 16 gauge version. So 16 gauge 1.2 mils. The large outside ring is 1/4 inch. Is 8.5 mils. I'm getting ahead of myself. The AA ring on the inside is 1/4 inch, 6.35 mils. And the small joining rings are 18 gauge, 1 mil, and the ring ID is 4. So this produces a very flexible weave. And as I said, without that very distinct, it's got a small twist, but nowhere near as much as the thicker gauge. And this one is the 18 gauge version, so the large rings on the outside in BA are 6.5 mils. The ones on the inside are 3/16 or 4.76, and the connecting ones are 20 gauge, 0.8 mil in 3.25 millimeter ID. Okay, so there, as I said, these are new sizes that I've just did up this week in time for the demonstration. Otherwise, we've always produced it in the 14 gauge. So those that have an old copy of the tutorial, you might want to write all those sizes down because they weren't on the original tutorial, but they are now. So anybody that gets a new one will have all those sizes. Okay, so again, I'm going to demonstrate this in 14 gauge, and I produced the middle chain in advance just so I wouldn't tie up too much time. But basically, you want to produce a chain that's made up of the AA ring and the large BA ring around it. So however you produce that, you can do the AA chain first and then come back and put the BA rings around it, or you do them at the same time. It's up to you. Now, I don't have any notes, I don't think, on how long you need this to be. I haven't written it down in my notes, but it would be very similar to the double cloud cover. So the length of the bracelet plus, you know, approximately 8 centimeters extra to cover for the folding. Hithwin, I hope I'm pronouncing that properly. I don't have any niobium rings on site at the moment. We're having trouble with our niobium supply. We can certainly cut the sterling silver. We don't sell precious metal kits at this stage. We have in the past, but they haven't been big movers for us. So we will do them on request, but I can't do anything with niobium in it at the moment until we get our supply sorted, unfortunately. But it would look lovely in niobium. No, Shirley, this is not the weave that you would wrap stones with. You tend to wrap stones with half Persian 3-in-1 or European 4-in-1s, any of those sort of weaves, but not this one. This one wouldn't be used to wrap a weave at all. Okay. A wrapper stone, sorry, wrapper weave. All right, so again, the action here is really similar to the double cloud cover. So if you can do double cloud cover, you can do this. I know that people in the past had a lot of difficulty with this weave. I did originally have it as a beginner's and had to up it because people were struggling with it. And I think it's just the concept of folding the weaves, the rings that make it difficult. All right, so same again. You got rings 1, rings 2, rings 3, rings 4. This case, I'm going to hold ring 1 up, let 2 drop down, bring 3 up, and 4 just folds in underneath ring 2. So you've got ring 1, ring 2, ring 3, ring 4. And we want to lock rings 1 and 3 in place. And I didn't get these rings prepped, so I'm going to have to put that down. I'll just open up a couple of these. So you just take your small rings. I'll just open a couple of them. Okay, so picking this back up, rings 1, we drop 2 down, and we bring 3 up. They're the ones we're interested in at the moment. We're just going to go through rings 1, making sure we've got both pairs of rings in there, both sizes. Bring it around and pick up both of the rings in ring 1. See, I can't see what I'm doing now. Okay. And we close that up. Okay. Now, again, I like to work down just one side of the weave and then go back into the other side. So in that case, we tuck ring 4 down, we bring the next one up. So we just tuck that one down in place, bring the next one up, and we're going to lock that ring in place with the one before it. Going through, I haven't opened them up far enough, going through both pairs size rings, making sure we pick the 4 of them up, and we lock it into place. We tuck the next ring underneath the row below, and we bring this one up so that it sits on top of the previous one. Again, taking one of our smaller rings, we lock it into place. Oops, wants to drop out. There we go. So that's that side done. And you can just flip it over to the other side and do the same again. Take your small connecting rings. This time we're going to go through this pair of rings, next pair of rings behind it. Close that ring up. Taking another connecting ring, going to the next one in the sequence, going through it, through the one behind it. Oh, wait a minute, all thumbs and fingers. Chris started frantically typing, so I looked up and dropped it all. Okay, and we close that ring up. Okay. And we've got one more ring in the prepared. So we go through that one, down through the next one. If you're finding this a little difficult, you could go up a little bit with your big ring, with the small ring size, take it up to a 5 maybe, instead of the 3/16. But just take your time and it'll be fine. Hey Scott, good to see you. Oh, glad you enjoyed the books and that they got there in one piece. Okay, and that's it. So is everybody happy with the Garter Weave? Like I said, if you can do the double cloud cover, if you can do Vipera berris, you can do Garter Weave. It is pretty much, the Vipera berris is a little trickier, but as far as the folding's concerned, it's very much the same. So hopefully everybody's okay with that. Sweet, everyone's got it? Beautiful. All right. I think that was it. Hope everyone's great with that. Oh, look at that. We did 2 weaves in half an hour, guys.
You did go fast.
Woo! I don't think I went too fast, though. Is everybody comfortable I'm happy to go through it again if anyone's got a problem. I don't know about the buffering, babe. Have you seen any problem?
No, I've been pretty good this end.
Has anything started yet?
No, a few people's had issues.
Rosalind, you've missed everything, love. She's got the title page. She might need to refresh it. But we're done.
Sorry, it saves it.
It saves it, that's right. The pliers I used tonight, Shirley, are the Lindstrom pliers with the stubby and the oblique noses. These are my go-to absolute favourite pliers to use in 14 gauge. If you've got the Zurons, I mean, the Zurons do the job, but I absolutely love the Lindstroms in 14 gauge. They make 14 gauge so much easier, and they're so good on the rings. So they're my go-to for 14 gauge. I mean, I use them all the way down to 20 gauge, not a problem. But 14 gauge, they're a must for. Okay, the 16 gauge sizes, Kerry. Oh, they're so new to me, I have to look it up. Okay, so 16 gauge again. So 16 gauge is 1.2 mil because we use AWG, just to clear that up. A 1/4 inch for the the AA. And the BA rings is 8.5 on the outside, and 18 gauge 1 mil, 4mm ID. So hopefully, and while I'm here, I'll just do the 18 gauge version as well. So 18 gauge, we used 3/16 for the AA, and the BA is 6.5 for the large rings, and 20 gauge 3.25 for the small rings. Okay, somebody, do they come with longer handles? Well, that's the length of the handles. That's all they come with, which is, I think, the same, little bit bigger than, say, the Zurons, but not as long as Wubbers. I don't think. Wait a minute. I think I've got a Wubber floating around. Oh, I did have. Here we go. So these are the like a Wubbers or the wire workers that we stock on our website. Similar sort of handle length to the Wubbers as well. So this tends to be the longer length. Lindstrom's mock your skill level? No, Scott. I've used Lindstrom's, not so much the RX Lindstroms, but I used other Lindstroms fairly on as a beginner. So they're a good tool. They don't mock. They don't mock. You should be fine, Natalie. Just rewatch the video. No problem at all. This is, it's just the folding, and that's quite. I think it's quite intuitive myself. Just take it slowly, just fold it, and then it's just joining two pairs of rings together. It's easy. Don't let the look of the weave intimidate you. It's not too difficult to watch. Oh, good, Kerry. Well, that's what we hope, that everybody enjoys the live streams and gives them the extra oomph they need to try a weave perhaps they haven't. So we were lucky in that these two weaves were very similar, so they worked, being able to do them together tonight. Okay. People have long weekends? What? Who's getting a long weekend?
No idea.
Cheeky.
Well, apart from Leanne.
Cheeky Leanne. Good night, Leanne. Enjoy your weekend. All right. So that's it, I think. We don't have really much to talk about. The mail group, mail club for April is still open for those that are interested. until the 15th. So you've got until then to sign up. Thank you very much to those that have signed up this month. Really glad to have you on board. Oh, Canberra Day. Okay. All right. You know, if you haven't subscribed to our channel here on YouTube, consider doing that for us, guys. Giving us a thumbs up once this goes live or gets saved on YouTube, sharing it, anything like that. Go mad, go crazy. Every little bit of interaction helps get the name out and encourages us to keep going. Labor Day in Melbourne. What is people having holidays all over the place, are they? Oh my god. I'm feeling very ripped off. Even in California, Kerry, you're having a long weekend? Good grief. Not when you work for yourself. Yeah, you never get holidays when you work for yourself. Thank you, Dawn. I hope they come and check us out as well. Yeah, while we're slaving away, they'll be sitting back, sipping their cocktails. All right, fantastic. All right, guys, well, thank you so much for joining us this week and having patience with us with our camera kerfuffles last week. As I said, I think it ended up just being a battery issue. And we thought it had been charging a week, but apparently it hadn't been. It was fibbing. So no new camera, unfortunately, but not to worry. No holiday up in Brizzy either. Oh, it sucks to be us, doesn't it? It really does. The other thing, especially for those that are subscribed, you'll get a notification about this. We're starting to do some pre-recorded, more projects than weaves. So we're leaving the weaves for our live sessions, and we're putting up some pre-recorded, at this stage, quick little projects. I have been trying to upload the first one all afternoon. Hopefully it's finished about now, but it'll be getting released next Tuesday. So if you're a subscriber with us here on YouTube, you'll get notifications about that. And I think that's about it. Babe?
Think so?
You think so? I look like you're going to sleep then.
No.
All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for coming along as usual. We really do appreciate it. We love it that you guys turn up with us. Yeah, they're only simple projects at the moment, Dawn. Really, really simple ones to start with and ease into it. But we hope to get some more as we go along. All right, guys. Well, thanks again for turning up, and we will see you all next week with another new weave. And you get to use your beautiful gemstone pendants from the Maille Club kits. All right, guys. Thank you very much. Take care. Bye.